Hello, I'm Denise Galoni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. I am so honored and excited for my guest today, James Malinchak, who is recognized as one of the most requested, in-demand business and motivational keynote speakers and marketing consultants in the world. James is going to have so much wisdom for you and empowering you to go out there and do your best. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm very excited that my guest today is James Malinchak. James Malinchak is recognized as the most requested, in-demand business and motivational keynote speaker and marketing consultant in the world. He was featured on the hit ABC TV show Secret Millionaire and was twice named National College Speaker of the Year. James has delivered over 3,000 presentations for corporations, associations, business groups, colleges, universities, and youth organizations worldwide. Giving back is a big part of James' life, as he has raised over $1 million for various charities and organizations and has donated thousands of dollars of his own money to help others. James is the behind-the-scenes go-to marketing advisor for many top speakers, authors, thought leaders, business professionals, celebrities, sports coaches, athletes, and entrepreneurs, and is recognized as the world's #1 big money speaker, trainer, and coach. I am so honored to have him here. Hello, James.
What's up, Denise? What's happening in the bird?
The bird. And people, and this wasn't in your bio, I didn't have this in, but people may not realize that you grew up not too far away from Pittsburgh.
I did. Monessen High School. Go Greyhounds. Woo!
Right. And you were on the basketball team, right?
I was, yeah. We won the state championship my senior year. And
was that
so,
the first time ever they won?
That was the first time ever in history of our school. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So, hometown boy does well.
Hometown boy. I love Holupkis, pierogies, Holupskis, Kamani Brothers.
All that good stuff. You one day I'm gonna send you some pierogies, so you'll have to check the post office.
Oh, you know what? You've been saying that forever.
Oh, I know.
I never see the cooler.
So, James, I wanted to ask you before we start, and we'll talk about Secret Millionaire in a couple of minutes, but did you ever think when you were growing up in Monessen, small, people don't know, small, still town in Pennsylvania, that you would one day be on ABC's Secret Millionaire? Like,
I never thought that. Specifically, right. But I knew I would do great things because you have to have an expectation of yourself,
yes.
And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter where you are right now. You can be and do and have anything you want in life. And so I always had that belief. My first big goal was for us to win the state basketball championship. We were a tiny little Class A school, and I didn't care about any of that stuff. People laughed at us and told us. And matter of fact, I was just chatting with my good friend Mike Bright today, Michael Bright, who lives in New Jersey, and we went to high school together. And we were this month marks 33 years when we won the state championship. And he sent me a picture, he put on my Facebook page. There's a picture from the Valley Independent newspaper of us holding the state championship trophy. And so I wanted to get a basketball scholarship, and everybody said I couldn't do it. And, you're from a small school, you're from a small town, and how are you going to play big time Division I basketball? And I just didn't care. I didn't care about any of that stuff. So, and that's what I'd like to get across to anybody that might be seeing this is like, if you've got something you want to do in life, don't let, small type of thinking people to diminish your big dream.
Right.
Whatever that, it could be opening a restaurant. It could be opening a Dairy Queen. Right? One of the reasons I like coming back to Monessen is Dairy Queen. We don't have Dairy Queens in Las Vegas where I live.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, so that was, just, I never thought I'd be on ABC Secret. It wasn't, I never even thought about that, but I knew I would do stuff.
Stuff.
right? I just didn't know what the stuff would be.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a professional speaker, or did that just happen?
No, I wanted to be a pro basketball player. And my senior year of college, I caught a pass and made a move and ripped my knee in half. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty much it. And, then my next big thing was I wanted to be a stockbroker. So I moved to Los Angeles and I became a stockbroker for a major Wall Street investment firm, and then did pretty well and ended up having an office on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, California. And for anybody that might not know, if you've ever seen the movie Pretty Woman, where the hotel was, I used to eat lunch there 3-4 times a week. It was right across the street from my office. And I started managing accounts for entertainers and pro athletes. And then somebody asked me to speak because I had done well and they wanted me to do a motivational speech. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, speak? Like, I don't speak. And and that's how it all started. 1 led to 2, 2 led to 3, 3 led to 4. And here we are, 3,000 some later.
3,000 some later. What would you tell someone if they came up to you that said they wanted to be a speaker?
Yeah, well,
what would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them, it's different than what I would tell folks in the past, because now I know a lot more and like what it really is about when it comes to speaking. And I would say that's why my logo is it's big money speaker, but my logo is a coin, because I say on one side of the coin you have your message, right? Your story, your information you want to help people with. And that's where most people tell you to start, right? And I said, well, no, there's 2 sides to the coin. There's a flip side to the coin, which is the business. And most people don't realize that they're running a business when it comes to speaking. Same thing with a sandwich shop. You think because you make really good sandwiches and you open up a shop that like people are just going to flood to your sandwich shop. And nothing could be further from the truth. You actually have to learn the business and how to get business. Same with speaking. Right. So the thing I would tell folks is, hey, I know you probably have a great message. I know you have a good heart. You want to help people. You want to inspire the folks. But if you don't learn the flip side of the coin, which is the speaking business, how you actually profit, how you make money, how you get bookings, then you're going to have a very rough road trying to have a successful career. I wish somebody would have told me that back when I started, because Denise, you know my story. When I started, I was so broke that I was working in a video store making $7 an hour living in Los Angeles. And so
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I just didn't know it was a business and that I actually had to learn how to get business and clients.
So let's talk about ABC Secret Millionaire.
All right.
How did that even happen? And what was it like being on ABC Secret Millionaire? Because you went back to another small town on the episode.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't audition in a football stadium with like 300,000 other people. Yeah. I didn't pursue
American Idol.
Yeah, like an American Idol. I didn't pursue them. Basically, what had happened was somebody who was a mutual friend of mine and one of the producers said to the producer, who they were friends, oh, you're doing this show, you ought to have my friend James Malinchak. And they didn't know who I was. And so they sent this email in, and Cindy, my sister, who's my assistant, and she said, well, what do you want to do with this email? They want you to be on some kind of documentary show, because ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, they never tell you that it's them. They always hide it because they don't want people just trying to get on.
Right.
And everybody today is a producer, right? So I was like, I'm not interested. Just tell them I'm not interested. Well, they kept persistent. And so I got on the phone with them about a week later. And I said, hey, thanks so much for considering me for your documentary or whatever you're doing, but I'm not interested. I don't do that kind of stuff. And they said, well, you sound really great. I need to tell you something. This is the producer I was talking with. Remember, I was thinking it was some documentary thing.
Sure, right.
I had no idea what it was. And they said, well, we're not really XYZ company. We're ABC TV. And it's not really a documentary. It's actually called Secret Millionaire. And are you at a computer? I'd like to show you a trailer of like what it's like. And they showed me the trailer. And when I saw the essence of it, and I was like, what? And I didn't believe them, Denise. I was like, you can't be ABC TV. Why would you be calling me? Right. I'm not a TV dude. Right.
And so for anyone that doesn't know, James, what is Secret Millionaire? What was the whole premise of the show?
Yeah. So basically, the essence of the show was they imagine someone comes and picks you up by a crane, takes you out of your current life and element, and just drops you somewhere and says, go ahead, go live. And you don't have any water. You don't have any water, food, watch. You don't have a phone. And that's what it was. So basically, they came to my house in Las Vegas. took me to the airport, put me on a plane. I didn't know where I was going until I got to the airport, and flew me to a place where I lived in an impoverished neighborhood. And I had to live for like 7 or 8 days. No one could know who I was, hence secret millionaire. And the backstory was that I was a struggling entrepreneur going through like a change of life, just looking for places to volunteer. No one knew my background of an entrepreneur and that sort of thing, building businesses. And so I just looked for amazing folks who are changing lives. And at the end of my time, I go to them. And like if it were you, Denise, I say, hey, Denise, thanks so much for letting me come into your charity and to volunteer and to help. I'm about to head out of town, but there's something I haven't told you. And that was my whole thing, my whole acting thing. The only thing that was scripted was this. After I said that, Denise, I had to pause. So watch this. Here we go. Ready? There's something I haven't told you.
Perfect. And natural.
Everything else was just, me in the moment, but that was the thing that was scripted. I had to pause for like a second. and I said, well, I'm not a struggling person who's not successful in business. I'm actually a successful entrepreneur. And I had to say this was part of that. I had to say I'm a millionaire.
Right.
I'm a millionaire. And I think what you're doing is amazing. And then I open up my checkbook and I start writing them checks to help further their mission. Hence the show Secret Millionaire. Right. And so, I was in Gary, Indiana. And it was a tough place to be. And it was very eye-opening. The biggest shock for me was when I got into my apartment in Gary, Indiana. Okay, and they handed me an envelope and they said, here's your money to live on. And I opened it up and it was $44.66. And I said, oh, you know what? I don't need that much. I don't need that much in a day. So this is way more. And they said, no. That's for the entire week. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
66 cents I lived on for the entire week. So, yeah, it was an eye-opening experience.
But you met some incredible people there. I watched the episode. And Gary, Indiana, it was a steel town, wasn't it? Similar to Madison.
Well, they're real savvy. So I'll tell you a little inside secret too. So they're real savvy. When I got to Gary, Indiana, it was a steel mill town.
Right.
That the mill was closed down, much like Monessen. My dad worked for Wheeling-Pittsburgh Steel, so he worked in the mill and on the railroad. And they wanted to put me back in an element that was really close to how I grew up. So I remember talking to the producer, who's still a good friend of mine, and I said, I'm kind of shocked you didn't take me back to my town. And she said, we were going to take you back to Monessen. But then we decided, when we talked to the executives, we decided that we probably shouldn't do that, because if he was an accomplished basketball player and kind of known throughout the valley and maybe even throughout Pittsburgh, somebody might recognize him and it might like ruin the show. So that's why they didn't do it. But they were the little inside secret was they were going to bring me back to Monessen to do it, which would have been really cool.
That would have been really cool. Yeah. So did you have to go back to your roots? Working that videos?
I could have had Olympics in between takes.
There you go. So did you have to go back to your roots, working that video store, making $7 an hour to live on $44 a week food? I mean, that's not much.
Oh man, I tell you what, at first it was, it was all about like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to survive? It was all about me. If you think about it, listen to my language, right? And then I just, I believe that it was a God thing where it really hit me like, hey, it's not about you. That's not why you're here. You're here to find these amazing people and recognize them for the heroes they are in their community. So get it off of you, dude. It's not about you, right? And so I had to make that switch. And when I did, then I went into planning mode. Okay, I got $44.66. And how am I going to manage? So how much could I spend if I needed to spend? So I started going into it. I went to the store and they showed me going to the store, and I bought a bunch of big jugs of water, and I bought peanut butter and jelly and bread because I thought that will last me a long time, and that doesn't cost a lot of money. Because I was also thinking about this, like, okay, what if I get injured? And then my brain started going, wait a minute, like this is reality here. Because before I left my house and they put me on a plane, they told me to put all my stuff, my credit cards, my cell phone, no watch, nothing. I'd put it in my top drawer and leave it. I couldn't take it. And I didn't know that when I signed the contract.
Yeah, that's scary.
Well, at the time it was, because we're right in the heat of it, and this is what they're telling me to do. And then they said, the only thing we want, and we want you to hand it to our producer, is two things. One, hand them your driver's license. I'm like, oh, okay. I figured they would need that, right, to
Sure.
identify. And then hand them your medical insurance card. And that's when my brain was like, what? Like, why my medical insurance card? So now fast forward, here I am in Gary, and they hand me $44.66, and I'm finding out this is a tough place to be in. And I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I better save some money back for a copay at the hospital in case something happens. And they have to take me to the hospital, then I have like $20 for the copay.
Right.
So I didn't really have $44.66. I had $24.66. So I went into like planning mode, and that's what I did. I went in survival mode.
Right.
So and I was able to survive.
Yeah, that had to be a wonderful experience, just doing that.
It was, but and by the way, no television, no nothing. So they cut you off from the outside world. They wanted you to just be in the moment.
Yeah.
You don't realize how long a week is until you live a week where you can't get on the internet, you can't look at a watch, you can't call or text somebody, and you can't watch TV or listen to a radio. Can't even read a newspaper. I mean, it's just you. It's a long. We take things for granted the way we live, because that week seemed like 6 months.
Oh, I'm sure. Things that we do take for granted. Just pick up the things we take for granted. Pick up the phone and texting somebody. Can't do that.
100%. I mean, the world we live in today, it's so accessible to everybody. We can reach everybody. Imagine taking all that away and saying, nope, you don't have any of that.
Now, I mentioned your bio that you've raised over $1 million for charities. Why is doing that so important to you? Giving your own money, working and helping, raising money to help others?
Oh, because the secret to living is giving. If you think about it, right? And it doesn't have to be money.
Right.
It could be giving time, volunteering at your church, your synagogue, volunteering at the school, whatever that looks like. But, that's when you come from a servant's heart, that's when you're truly living, because you're making a difference in the lives of others. I always say this, and it's even on the back of my envelopes now that get mailed out for me, that the greatest gift you could ever receive in your life is knowing you have made a positive difference in the lives of somebody else, lives of others, right?
Right.
And so it's just a great way to live. It's how we should all live. And again, it doesn't have to be monetary that you do, right? It could just be, volunteering an hour a month. My dad, he used to do that. Meals on Wheels, he used to do.
Yeah.
He would collect all of the can tops, like the can.
Right. The little flip things.
Yeah, little flip things. And my dad would have garbage bags full of those. Like, he would always save them. And like, if we'd have a soda and like we wouldn't take those off, like, he would get upset with us, because that would help people who are on dialysis. And so that was giving, that was volunteering.
Right.
He was volunteering his time to make sure, and he would take garbage bags of these to go get, turned in for money to help people on dialysis. So yeah, it's just the way you live. It's the way we should all be. We're all put on this earth to have a big impact and give back.
Absolutely. So what is Big Money Speaker for people that I mentioned it in the bio? You have your shirt on.
Well, basically, that is my company, bigmoneyspeaker.com. And it's exactly what I explained earlier, right? There are a lot of folks. So I've been very blessed to do some things in the speaking world. We're doing like 3,000 talks, 24 books, 21 online courses, 2,000 plus one-on-one business consultings for folks. So I've been very blessed to do a lot of stuff. And because of that, folks would find me over the years, and this started 20 years ago, where people would say, like, man, how do I do that? Like, how do you book all these talks? Like, how do you speak in Scotland, and how do you speak in, Bahamas, and how do you do that? Like, I said, well, there are folks who book, speakers, and I've just got pretty good at, finding all them. So folks would say, could you teach me? And I said, you know what? If I'm going to teach folks, I'm going to teach them what they really know, which is the business side of it. And I wish somebody would taught me that when I was back in that video store making $7 an hour.
Right.
And And that's the second side of the coin, the business side. And when you do that, you actually can make big money, whatever big money means to you, right? It could be $2,000. It could be $2 million. That's
Right.
irrelevant. It's whatever it is for you. But that's how and people started actually literally calling me big money speakers. Like, oh, dude, you're a big money speaker. Every time I listen to you as a speaker, I make big money. And that's how the whole thing formed into big money speaker. People started calling me that. And I always say you have to always listen to people, because a lot of times they'll tell you what your business should be. So that's how I formed bigmoneyspeaker.com, and teaching others how to get highly paid sharing their message, story, and how-to advice.
So what's next for James Malinchak?
I just erased it off my whiteboard here.
Oh, James, you got a sneak peek.
But yeah, we're just moving everything online to a big online training. And I mapped out a whole brand new business plan up here on my whiteboard. That's why I have my whiteboard here. I like to draw things out.
Yeah.
And now we're going to turn it into an online training to where we help people all over the world 24/7, 365 days a year in all different countries. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for people that are watching?
Yeah, man. I always say you can take the kid out of Pittsburgh. You can't take the Pittsburgh out of the kid. So I am just blessed and honored to be from Pittsburgh and from the Mon Valley, Monessen. I'm so grateful. I would never have wanted to grow up any other place. I've been blessed to meet a lot of people and be around the world, but this is always a special place in my heart. It's amazing when I meet somebody from Pittsburgh, like instant bond we have. Like, I was in Dubai. At the Atlantis Resort in Dubai, 23 hours away by airplane flight. And I bump into somebody from the US, and we start talking, and the guy was from Pittsburgh. What's the first thing? Yeah, it was all the way in Dubai. We start talking about the Steelers and back in the Terry Bradshaw day and the Lynn Swan and the Jack Ham and Jack Lambert and crazy. I'm like, hey, you ever eat at Primanti Brothers? He's like, oh, I love Primanti Brothers. And he's like, how about the original hot dog stand down in Oakland?
Right.
Oh, the pit game. Yeah, there's no place like the people like Pittsburgh and the people from Pittsburgh. So.
And unless you're from Pittsburgh, you don't get it.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't get fries on sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly.
And coleslaw, you just don't get it.
And halushki and pierogi. Oh, man, I miss it. You get out in Vegas, you get the rubber pierogies from the store. You don't get the homemade church ones.
They're coming. I'll send them to you someday.
I will gladly take them.
James, thank you so much I know how busy you are, taking time out of your schedule to do this interview and share your knowledge and your inspiration with people. The whole show is about empowering people. And I mean, definitely, look at you, small-time boy from Monessen, traveled the world speaking 3,000 presentations.
It's all the halupkis and the halushki and pierogies. There you go.
That's what it is. Well,
no, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Best of luck with everything you do.
Oh, you're one of my favorite peeps on the planet, and I'm so honored to be on this. So thanks.
The honor's all mine. Thank you.
Anything for anybody from Pittsburgh.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I want to give a special thanks to my guest, James Malinchak, who took time out of his busy schedule to come on my show and give you the information. James is very empowering with his story. I hope James, in empowering you, helps inspire and empower you to live your best life. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.